Good afternoon, happy stampers. Welcome to my happy stamping studio. This is Judy Anderson from judystamps.com, and I'd like to welcome all my live viewers as well as those of you watching on replay. This is where every stamp tells a story and every project brings joy. And I am hoping that this project today brings you such joy. It is a fun fold. And I am using some papers that I just love the colors with. So say hello as you're coming in. Let me know where you're coming from. If you have any questions, be sure to ask along the way, and I will try to answer them. Today, we're going to be using the Unbounded Love stamp set. It is a stamp set of 25 sentiment stamps. And I feel that it's really important for you to have one or two of those sentiment stamps that you always go back to. And this is one that I am always going back to. We are also going to be using our gray granite stamp pad, the Regal foiled dots, and those are self-adhering. We are going to be using two die sets today. We're using the Perfectly Pairs dies. I'm using these leaves. I cut out two, and then I had a little bit of paper left from my scrap, so I cut out a portion of another one. We are also using this frame from the Storybook Friends dies. Now I have cut one out of daffodil, or not I always say daffodil, darling duckling, and one out of basic white. That is because we are going to use the frame of the darling duckling and the inside oval from the basic white. And you will notice that this die cuts it into two pieces. And I'm going to show you a little trick today on how to keep these two pieces together. I'm going to put those dies to the side. So your paper is here. I've got a card base, my scrap of darling duckling and gray granite and basic white to cut out my dies, which I have already done. I've got two strips of this Everyday Happiness. I just love this. We could use either side of this, but I'm choosing to use the sides with the roses. Two small pieces of basic white. Now, this designer series paper also comes with, has the option of purchasing the sticker die cuts with it. It's two different numbers. All you have to do is search Everyday Happiness on my online store, and it'll show you the pack of paper or the combination. Now, I love getting these die cut stickers for not only for scrapbooking, but for card making, because as you can see, there's some pieces in here that you can use for card making also, and boxes and everything else. And it's just a quick way of adding embellishments without having to stamp. And this paper is two-sided, and it's got beautiful colors, as you can see. And when you get the die cuts and the stamps, you get 4 sheets of this on one side and this on the other. And then, oops, I'm sorry, wrong. It's this on one side and this on the other side. And let me pull this one out, and you get 4 sheets of this beautiful gingham, which I love, and this side. Now, I am going to tell you that it's going to list on here that the colors that coordinate with this paper are gray granite, Lost Lagoon, mossy meadow, pecan pie, pretty peacock, very vanilla, and wild wheat. Now, you know, wild wheat is a retired in color. However, I am finding that the darling duckling is a great shade to coordinate with anything that has wild wheat in it. Okay, we're going to begin. We're going to grab our paper trimmer, and I am going to show you how to score and cut your paper today, because it's kind of hard to explain, and I will have the measurements over on my blog at judystamps.com tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. And but to try to explain to you how to cut your paper and score it would be too daunting for me. So I'm going to show you here. So we're going to take our 5.5 by 8.5 paper and have the 8.5 side along the top. We're going to go up here and score it at 2 1/8 inches. Okay. Now the scoring blade is your light gray blade. We're just going to swipe it back and forth a couple of times. Now I could tell you that your next score line would be at 6 3/8. But what I like to do is make sure that they're both even. So I turn my paper around and score at 2 1/8 again. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to turn our paper and we are going to score it at 4 1/4. No, we're going to cut. I'm sorry, we're going to cut it. But when we cut this, we're going to cut it between these two lines here. Okay, so that's important. You've got your score line here, your score line here, and we're only going to cut in between those two spots. So we're going to line the edge of our paper here at 4 1/4. Okay, we're going to pick up our arm. We're going to slide our cutting blade so that this little line on the side lines up with our score line and go and press it until we reach the other score line. We're going to pick this up. We're going to turn it and do the same exact thing. We're going to line it up to 4 1/4. Line this up to this line on the side to the score line and cut at 4 1/4. Okay, we need to do a couple more score lines though. We're going to turn it so the 8.5 is along the top of the edge again, and we're going to score it at 3 1/8. Or actually 3 16. And that's the little line before the 3 1/4. Now, if you aren't real good with measurements and the 16ths kind of confuse you, you could do one at 3 1/8 and the other side at 3 1/4. But if you want to make them even, it's 3 3/16. Turn it around and we're going to go to 3 and then 3 lines. 1, 2, 3. And score just between those cut lines. Okay, we've got one more score line. We're going to take our paper and bring it all the way to 4 1/4. Okay, and that 8.5 inch side is still along the top rail. And we're going to score the top section at 4 1/4 and the bottom section at 4 1/4. Okay, so your paper kind of looks like this. You've got your cut lines in the middle. You've got your 2 score lines here, a score line in the middle, and 2 score lines here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to burnish those lines. So I am just going to take my bone folder and burnish those 2 outside lines. Now, the center lines are going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, this is just like your typical gatefold. We're going to fold that 4 1/4 on each end, right like that. And I'm just pinching that. Okay, I'm going to pinch it until I get the rest folded. Then I'm going to fold this up here on this score line and this up here on this score line. Now, at this point, you want to make sure that your card closes. Okay, and it'll automatically go like that. These flaps will go to the side evenly. Okay, so that is it. Now, we're going to decorate and we're going to do some stamping. On our 2 small pieces, we're going to stamp a sentiment on one, and then we're going to stamp another sentiment on the white oval. I'm going to grab that. So on the white oval, I'm going to stamp happy birthday. And I am using gray granite ink. Now, we don't have cloud cover ink in an ink pad that you can buy, but you can buy the re-inker and an empty Stampin' Spot if you want. Or I have found that Misty Moonlight stamped off twice is almost the same color as your cloud cover. We've also had other colors in the past. Seaside Spray may be a close to it, but I don't have that anymore. Okay, so on this one of the rectangles, we're going to stamp May All Your Wishes Come True. Okay, and that is all the stamping we're doing today. I told you it's all about the fold today. Okay, we're going to take and start assembling our card. So we have these two pieces of designer series paper. Decide which way you want them to go. It doesn't really matter. This one is an all over pattern. So I am just going to put some liquid glue on here. And this is only 1/8 of an inch difference. If you want more of a reveal on the sides, you could make your paper a little bit smaller. Okay, but it's only 1/8 of an inch smaller widthwise, but I did make them 1/4 inch smaller lengthwise. So we're going to have that bigger reveal at the top and the bottom. Just going to try to line this up here. Before I push it all the way down, I'm going to close my card and see how it lines up. Okay, lines up top to bottom okay. Just straighten it out a little bit. Okay, or you could also line it up all the way against your score line. That way you wouldn't have that line down the middle. It's just up to your preference. But I don't mind that line. So now this is what we have. Now we're going to start decorating. And like I said, I'm going to show you a little trick. I'm going to grab my glue dots. I'm going to grab our embellishments, which are mostly our dies. Okay, so I'm going to lay this out for you. So this is laying down here. This is going to go in the middle. And we're going to put one of these over here. The other one is going to come out the bottom this way. But I want these to help hold this oval here. So we're going to do a couple things. We are going to adhere our dies so that they overlap and that they hold our dies together. And then we're going to use dimensionals later to adhere it to the card, which will also help hold that. So I'm going to place this on here. Do this right here like this. Now, when I place this on here, I want to show you something. I can actually weave some of these leaves inside of this frame. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that before I adhere it, because that's going to kind of hold it in place. Okay, now you can choose to have that go in front a little bit if you want, or behind. I am doing it all behind because I'm going to use those leaves to help hold this oval in place. So I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool and I'm going to start grabbing some dots. And all we're going to do is hold that oval where we want it and lift up that leaf a little bit. Put our adhesive dot right there, and that's going to hold it. Now I'm going to put another dot right here where the oval meets the frame. I'm going to lift this up and put this down here. Now, we're using dimensional, so I don't have to worry about this sticking to my card where I don't want it to. Now, this one, we're going to have coming out the bottom. However, I want to change the position of my, of my leaves a little bit. I'm going to I lost my one pair of paper snips. I think they're on the other side. So I'm just going to take this and snip this off so it looks like it's just coming off of there. I'm going to lay this here, and if you feel more comfortable looking from the front, you can. Once again, I can weave these leaves in and out of the frame. Okay, so it's about where I want it. I'm going to hold that there. And once again, grab a couple of glue dots. And now don't forget, we have that piece that we cut off that we're going to be using also. I'm going to put this right underneath this leaf, right there. And that's going to hold that. Now I have the piece that I cut off. And this was going off in this direction, way up here. I want to bring that down. So I am going to be gluing that so it looks like that. So I'm just going to take my liquid glue and put a little dot towards the bottom here and then rub it up the stem. Okay, that allows me to put very little on there so it doesn't squish out all over, yet add it right on top of that other stem. Okay, now if I wanted, I could add some more leaves, but I'm happy with the way this is. So I'll keep this for another project. So let's get our Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're going to adhere this. So like I said, I'm using my dimensionals to help hold that oval on there. So when you have dies that have cutouts like that, there are ways of holding it together so that the pieces go together without having to try to cut a piece. And people tell me, oh, I tried cutting another oval and it got too big or whatever. This way, it holds it nicely. And you don't have to worry about that. So we're going to take these off. Almost done with our card. How many of you have tried this before? You know, this paper just reminds me of when I was younger and a china set that my grandmother had. My grandmother collected coffee cups and saucers and teacups. And she had all these lovely patterns, and most of them were roses. And this just reminds me of one of the cups that she had. Okay, we have these two here. And, you know, I just love when I look at things and it brings me back memories of family and friends from my childhood and adulthood. So we're going to go ahead and center this on that left side, right like that. And then we're going to do this one on the other side. Okay. And our card is finished. So this is for you to write a little something, or you could even do a strip back here to write a little note. But this will close just like that. And then when you open it, it opens like this. Okay. Now, if you want, we could have burnished our score lines a little bit more, but I'm happy with this. It will stand up a little bit no matter what, just because of all of the bulk here. And that's what the back of your card looks like. So you've got those flaps, and they might go one way or the other way, or one might go one way and the other way. It just depends on how they fall. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Yeah, it's gorgeous out there today, isn't it? So I hope you enjoyed this card and give it a try. And if you do, let me know. And you could always post it over on my Facebook page, which is Happy Stamping with Judy. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.